up guys? In today's video I'm going to be teaching you the basics of the conventional deadlift. Okay, for the deadlift the first thing you need to do is start off with the feet position. On any lift, but deadlift in particular, I always like to make sure my feet, my lower portion of my body is set up first and then work my way up. So you want your feet to be right around shoulder width apart. You want your toes to be slightly pointed outward. That's going to help to activate your glutes during the lift. And you want the bar to be right above the middle portion of your foot. If the bar is too close to your shins, it's going to scrape against your shins and prevent you from lifting it up. If the bar is too far away, you're going to have to lean farther forward to try to pick it up, which is not going to help with your form. So once you have your feet position set up, next thing to do, I like to take a deep breath and arch my lower back, so that way you're getting in the habit of creating a good posture for yourself when you're going to deadlift. And it's kind of similar to a squat in that you squat down towards the bar, but you don't squat as deep. So we're not doing like a regular squat, but it's a similar form, similar motion. As you take a deep breath and come down lower towards the bar, grab the bar with your hands. Your hands will basically be right outside of your legs in this position here. And you don't want any slack in your arms. So your arms should not be loose, should not be bent. It should be like that. So the only thing that needs to change in order to pick up the bar is I just need to stand up essentially. I don't need to squeeze or bring in my arms. And so you'll take a deep breath, make sure your lower back is arched, and then stand up with your chest high. And drive through your hips at the top. Since there's no slack in my arms here, that's causing my back to be tight. That way when I pick it up and drive through my hips, I'm keeping everything nice and tight. So let's talk about as you're standing up. So as you're standing up, you always want to make sure your lower back is still arched. You want to brace your core. It helps to keep your chest up and your head high. So once you've got your feet positioned, take a deep breath. Bring yourself down to the bar, remembering to arch your back. Grab onto the bar. Deep breath, chest up, head high. And then explode up through the movement. You're going to primarily be driving through your heels. You don't want to be moving your knees forward or anything like that. You want to drive through your heels, squeeze your glutes at the top, and thrust with your hips, almost like you're humping the air. Like that. I'll go ahead and show it from the other position from behind. So again, setting up your feet. Hands. Make sure your lower back and your back in general is tight. Deep breath. Drive through. Notice I'm squeezing my glutes at the top to really emphasize the fact that you're driving through your hips, driving through your glutes for the lockout. Okay, now I'm going to show the deadlift from the side, just that way you can get a different view of the form. So again, starting with your feet, about shoulder width apart, toes slightly angled outward. You want the bar to be right above the middle of your foot. Take a deep breath. Keep your lower back arched. Brace your core. Grab onto the bar. No slack in the arms. Head up, chest high. Deep breath. Drive through the hips and squeeze those glutes at the top. One very common mistake you always want to avoid on deadlift is rounding your lower back. So in the beginning I talked about making sure your lower back is arched, you're bracing your core. When you're deadlifting, essentially it looks like this with your lower back. You don't ever want to get in a position where your lower back is rounded like that, like a cat. That's going to cause a lot of pain and a lot of damage to your back, and you can seriously hurt yourself. So I definitely don't recommend you do that. So you want to practice form with light weight, build yourself up before you start lifting heavy. Now with the conventional deadlift, one of the common sticking points in the movement is the last half of the movement where you're bringing the bar up and you're locking it out. So that's why I really want to emphasize the fact that you should practice squeezing your glutes and driving through your hips at the top, because a lot of times people will have underdeveloped or weak glutes and weak hip movement, and that will prevent them from locking out at the top. So that's just something to be conscious about and something to practice in terms of technique and form when you're starting off the deadlift and when you're lifting with lighter weight. Okay, now let's talk about grip. So you'll notice I'm doing what's called a double overhand grip, where both of my hands are in the same position on the bar. This is a weaker grip, but there are some benefits to this. Number one, you're working your back more evenly versus a mixed grip, which is the other way to grip it, where you have one arm over and one hand under. If you're doing a mixed grip, it's generally a stronger grip, but some of the drawbacks of that, you have a risk of injury to your bicep. You can rip your bicep in this position, not to scare you away from doing it or anything like that, but that is a consideration you have to make. But like I said, it is a stronger grip. Another thing you have to consider, if I'm doing a mixed grip on deadlift here, when I lock out, especially with the heavier weight, you start to kind of jerk the bar a little bit away from your body on one side because you're at a mixed grip. So it can be a little bit more difficult. And like I said, it can also develop your back unevenly if you only do mixed grip on one side. Usually some people like to rotate back and forth. That's a consideration you need to make. With that said, like I said, because the double overhand grip is a weaker grip, I like to use lifting straps. So these are lifting straps. Essentially, what these help you to do is to grip the bar a lot easier without using as much form and grip strength. The benefit of lifting straps is, on a deadlift in particular, you're not limited. Your strength on the deadlift isn't limited to how strong your grip is. So you can always do other exercises and practice doing deadlift to focus particularly on your grip strength. Whereas in my case, when I'm trying to do deadlift, I want to make it the maximum benefit from the deadlift, I should say, with the heavy weight and everything like that. And I don't want to be limited by my grip strength. So these are really cheap. You can find these for a couple dollars, maybe less than $10 on Amazon. So what you do, you wrap around the bar one at a time, then you kind of rev it like a motorcycle. Then you go ahead and wrap the other one around. And it makes it much, much easier to hold on, maintain a grip onto the bar while you're deadlifting or doing other exercises in general. The second piece of equipment I like to use when doing a deadlift or a squat is a weightlifting belt, which is what this is. Now, a weightlifting belt has serves a couple purposes. It can help you to brace your core. So if you remember when I was talking about taking a deep breath and bracing your core when you're coming down to grab the bar for deadlift, this belt will help you to brace your core against the belt, again keeping you in a much safer and a much stronger position to do the deadlift. Usually will help you to lift heavier weight. And then the other practical benefit of it is it does support your lower back a lot, so that way it helps to reduce the overall risk of injury. Another important thing to remember when you're doing deadlift is the type of footwear you're wearing. For example, when you're doing a deadlift, it's much easier and more beneficial to wear a flat-footed shoe like a wrestling shoe or barefoot. Whereas if you're wearing a tennis shoe or something that's a little bit more elevated off the ground, it does increase the difficulty of the deadlift because you're essentially having to pull the bar from a higher elevated position. So just to summarize, you really want to focus on lifting with good form, practicing your technique before you start getting into heavier weights. Deadlift is a riskier exercise, so if you're lifting with heavier weight with poor form, the likelihood of injury is much higher, and the severity of the injury can be higher as well. But it is a great exercise. Deadlift's going to work your hamstrings, your glutes, your lower, middle, and upper back. It's going to target a lot of areas of your body and provide you a lot of muscular growth and strength gains if you do it properly. So I love the deadlift. Alright guys, hopefully this video was helpful for you in showing you how to perform the conventional deadlift. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions or you have any feedback about the video. Please like and subscribe for more videos in the future, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Good luck deadlifting and get those gains.